What up, CUC? Coming at you with a 5-10-5 progression. So really what we're trying to work is change of direction. So initially, I think what we're really trying to hammer home is that transition phase or that stance phase in our agility work. So what we'll do to start off is we'll put two cones 3 yards apart, and we'll have our athletes get in a nice athletic position, center of gravity dropped, good bend in the knees and hips, a little forward with the trunk, right? So shoulders over knees over toes. From here, we're gonna say go, and we're just gonna 1, 2, shuffle step into position, okay? This position is what I like to call anchor wedge, where we have our weight anchored to the inside, and we have our outside leg looking kind of like a wedge step, okay? So weight to the inside, low center of gravity. From there, we just come back across, 2 shuffle steps, hit it again. As the players get better and better at that, what we're going to do is we are going to take away those pauses. So now, 3 round trips, same idea, hit it, come out of it. We're not going for speed, we're just hitting anchor wedge positions. Once we have this established, we can begin to switch it up just a little bit. So on this, we're going to start off in that same position, but now we're going to work our crossover. We're going to talk about how we want our center of gravity to fall out past our base of support, which is the width of our shoes, right? So when we start this off, I tell them to start slow and then finish with a pause. So we're going to begin to fall out. I'm going to cross over, anchor wedge. Again, the cone's not so important. We're trying to get 2 steps in that direction. Usually with younger kids, 3 yards is pretty good, okay? From there, I'll say go again. It's gonna be crossover, dropping into that same exact anchor wedge position. Then from there, we begin to reincorporate, not having any pauses. So we start off, we lean, crossover, crossover. On that, I tell them as we come in, we really want to get that body turning just a little bit more towards the direction we want to go than when we were in that shuffle phase. So this is week 1, 5-10-5. All right, next step in the 5-10-5 progression is just taking the cones from 3 yards and putting them at 5 yards. We're gonna go over the same movement patterns that we just went over, working pauses to no pauses, and then from there, we're gonna begin to mix our movement patterns, right? So since crossover and sprint are the 2 main movement patterns in the pro agility or in the 5-10-5, that's what our focus is going to be on. So again, starting off, straddling 1 cone. We're not worried about the hand touch yet. So from here, all we're gonna do is we're gonna say go. We're gonna begin to lean that center of gravity out, and then we're coming over into our anchor wedge from the crossover position. We wanna reorientate our body to be pointed more in the direction that we wanna go next. Weight to the inside, wedge to the out. From there, we're gonna sprint back, and then as we come in, we're going to plant, cross over, and wedge step right back into that same anchor wedge position, okay? We'll work this back and forth with pauses, and then from there, we'll remove the pauses. Once we've done this for a week, 2 weeks, whatever it takes to get proficient, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna begin to put our hand down on the line. So getting a little bit lower as we come in to those edges or into that stance phase. So all I'm doing here, same start position, we're gonna say go, and I'm going to cross over, plant the outside hand, and then from here, I'm gonna sprint back, plant the outside hand. With that, we'll start at half speed, and then we'll move the speed up. That's the next step in the 5-10-5. All right, so we finally made it to Pro Agility Day, finally running the 5-10-5. So when we actually break out the full 5-10-5, we're gonna start by just going over our steps. So initially we're gonna just get good and athletic. We might stagger that play side or that initial side back just a little bit. So take that toe, move back that stagger so we can get good push off and right into that crossover. So again, just going over it. So I have them line up, and then from here, push off, crossover, crossover, plant. Again, anchor wedge position, and we're reaching to touch the line. I'm not so worried about the line quite yet, because as they gain momentum with faster runs, they should be able to get there in probably 2 crossover steps. So it may take them 3 if they're a little smaller. So we'll come back off that, and then we'll just run them with pauses. So we're gonna come down, we're gonna start athletic. We haven't put the hand down yet. And then from there on go, say go. I'm gonna cross over, plant. I'm gonna run all the way back, crossover wedge, and then from here, sprint back through. As far as getting that reach really working to that far line, we're not too worried about it initially. So after we've gone through this in both directions, then what we'll begin to do is put the hand down. So hand down, and we're gonna work on going ahead and throwing that elbow as we open up, pointing this toe at the far cone. The toe and nose pointed at far cone, we're gonna cross over, and drop. When we're doing this plant step, we've already talked earlier about how as we come in, we're going to actually plant or drop the center of gravity, crossover, wedge, and reach, right? So I think big mistakes we often see is just getting to that outside anchor instead of that inside anchor. From there, we're just gonna run the whole thing, right? So real fast down, real fast back, or at least half speed, and then ramp it up. So again, we're gonna be here, hand down, we're gonna throw it open, crossover, wedge, sprint, drop, step, cross, and then back across the line. Kids are having trouble with it, work pauses, get slower, and then progressively get faster. All right, one way in which we can progress the 5-10-5 even further, or at least that concept of changing directions and everything, we can begin to partner up. So you can use partners, or you could use audible cues, visual cues, whatever you want. But I find that when kids are racing each other or trying to keep up with one another, they tend to move a little bit faster. So, you know, when you're talking about braking from higher velocities, you know, the demand is a lot more because they're pushing it just a little bit more. So what we do is we'll take that middle cone and we'll toss it. From here, we line up face to face, and all we're gonna do is on go, we're gonna take off. Now, I'm facing you, I'm gonna be the wolf. The guy on the other side is the rabbit, and he's gonna dictate the cuts. So all I'm asking them to do is make 2 cuts, okay? So I'm lined up, I'm go, we take off, we're crossing over, stopping each other. He's gonna cut, boom, I'm gonna work back, he's gonna make his cut, I'll make mine on his, and then we race out of the drill. So again, we're gonna make it quick, we're gonna make it fast. You could work more cuts into it if you wanted to, but we're just gonna work those 2 cuts because in pro agility, we make 2 cuts.